Order and stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, looks like all board members are present except for Kara, who's not here today. Is there a motion to approve the consent, or the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion by Lynn, second by Jennifer. All those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda is approved. Comments and requests from visitors. Do we have any visitors? And we have Emily. Is there anything to report from Student Senate that you'd like to share with us today?
The blood drive went really well. We had more than last time. We had quite a few walk-ins again. Snow days went really well. I was not at the dance, but I heard we had a good show up, whatever.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, thanks. And then we have the consent agenda. Anything that people want to pull from that or motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Lynn, second by Sunny to approve consent agenda. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Consent agenda is approved. And now we're on to discussion items. Discussion item 1 is the academic calendar for 2021.
So option 4 is the one that you've seen previously. We had a committee meeting last Wednesday afternoon, calendar committee meeting. Anybody? I can't know. Nobody was here. We met and discussed option 4. Consensus was to move forward with that with one request, and that was to talk to the middle school and high school staff. I did that this morning about where the end of terms would be, especially in the second half of the year. There was very little discussion, just a couple of what if scenarios, and so without any real major issues, I think we should move forward in the next meeting for approval. I did get a couple of parent, because we did plaster down the front page of the website for parents to see it. I got a couple of responses back from parents, asked some really good questions. Again, around why can't we start before the Labor Day, those things. And so, yeah, no real significant concerns.
Okay.
So we'll be bringing it back to you in February for final approval.
Sounds good. Okay, next item B, high school parking lot update.
Is there a calendar adjustment?
Yeah, academic.
Oh, am I looking? Okay, I'm on the paper copy. Academic calendar adjustments, sorry.
So, part of our strategic planning is to get input from the community, students, and also our staff. And so we'll be asking the board to adjust the academic calendar for this year on that day to move it from a student day to a distance learning day. So students would be at home, they would have their homework prior to, and then the staff on that day would be offering input for the strategic plan. As I have said, we do cherish our face-to-face time with our learners, but this is a 5-year plan that needs the input from our staff, and to do that, to have all of our staff be able to be here during a work day, this is the best way to do that.
Now, the staff's going to be involved with the strategic planning, and usually on a distance learning day, they would be accessible to the students, so will they be spending some time that somebody's...
We're working a schedule out now between the buildings on making sure that our teachers are available during those work times to do that as well.
Okay.
Is attendance required for staff? Mandatory?
Attendance will be I mean, if they're here not sick or not on a personal day already that time, yes, they'll be scheduled to be part of the input.
Okay.
And so we'll be granting limited personal days.
Well, I mean, we have what's
Yeah.
in our contracts about how many days how many people we can have off, but
Well, except there's a higher number for a staff development day, so they're not going to try and say, well, this is a staff development day, this is
It's
a
not.
work day.
Yeah, it's not a staff development
reason.
day.
So we'll use the smaller number. Okay. 'Cause, I don't know if everyone remembers, but we made that adjustment in the contract this last year.
I think people will generally want to be involved with where the district's going in the next 5 years. I don't see this as being an issue, but if it is, we'll deal with it on an individual basis.
Then next time we'll bring it back for approval, or is there urgency to get this going?
Well, there's some urgency, but I mean, if I could have consensus, or if you wanted to move it to action, we could.
Whatever.
I'm thinking that the sooner you can let parents know, the better, because parents may need
Yeah,
to make
if-
adjustments in
We all
coverage.
have a consensus that we're going to approve it. Why wait for the next meeting?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
I will ask for one of you then to make the motion to entertain this as the adjustment, and we'll go through the official approval.
So do I have to make a motion to move it to action, or do I just have to make a motion to approve?
I think you
I
just need a
think
motion.
we have consensus that we want to
Okay.
act on it, so.
So I will make a motion to approve the academic calendar adjustment for March 27th, 2020.
Motion by Sunny,
Second.
second by Jennifer. Any further discussion about the March 27th date? Further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So we'll go forward with March 27th as staff input day. Okay, so now we are to high school parking lot update.
I have Brent here. So Brent, you want to come forward and help us discuss this? That'd be awesome. We did get, late today, the plans and estimates from Design Tree, the company that we've been working with, and I believe we attached those late today,
Yeah,
documents.
I saw
I
it.
see him.
Okay. Brent, do you want to walk through that?
So there's current state, future state, right?
Yep. Yeah, so current state, and then there's a bouncing around on the screen here.
Sorry.
There's an alternative that'll be in the bid package as well. So current state to alternate A plus alternate B of the added section on the south side.
So can you, as you speak to alternate A and alternate B, tell us which slides you're on?
So
we
page
know what you're-
37.
Sorry. Theoretically, yes, I can.
Page 37 of the PDF has the alternate included, which is the extra
Pates.
on the south.
Extra piece to the south, yeah.
It's 37 of the PDF as I look at it.
So it's the,
Otherwise, it's 31 is where the, without that starts, correct?
Like C101 and C201.
yes.
So C101.
Yeah. And then so it'll be bid that way with you guys' approval, and then the alternate will add the retention pond to avoid some issues we have now seasonally with ponding, and in the winter with ice buildup and stuff, give that water somewhere to go. So,
So I had shared some concerns with some of the
yep.
layout, and I just didn't know, you had just responded, thank you, but I didn't know if that had been, like, shared with Design Tree. Are they certain that it's not going to cause any issues?
Yeah, we took into consideration a lot of different views, and I remember where your primary one was down here with the direction of traffic. And when we discussed it with,
So down here,
Yeah,
you're gonna
you
have to
have to-
tell us like what page you're on and,
So I can share what my concerns were. So if you look on C201,
okay, thank you.
what I had shared as concerns on, right off of North Fifth Avenue East, if the way the traffic will flow off of Fifth Avenue is that they will be forced to turn right at that first lane into the parking lot. And so I just questioned whether or not all of those parking spots up against the road, how congested that will be for cars to get in and out of those spots, because
Yeah.
all traffic will be forced to be driving there. Maybe it's not a big deal, but it was just something that I questioned. And then I had questions, which this map doesn't show the directional flow of traffic on it like it did on the one that you had shared. But I had questions about, if you look at, and I am directionally impaired, but the bottom section by Red River Avenue, I had concerns about the traffic flow because it was going to be going both directions at the back end of the lot, and I didn't know how well that was going to work with, because the traffic comes in on that side and it goes around and down, and then on the back side it goes both ways. And I just thought that that could become really difficult for cars to actually get around and through if there now is traffic going in both directions. You can't see it on here because the arrows aren't, the directional flow isn't there, but I imagine it being a nightmare in the morning and at the end of the school day.
So I'm just presumably if kids are coming into this parking lot to park, they're not gonna go like in on 50 and go all the way across and come out on 2. They're gonna come in here and park.
I'm talking about parents dropping off.
Yep, and then they
because
take-
right here, it's bi-directional.
Yep, and it's probably unlikely that you're gonna have a lot of, like in the morning, that you're gonna have a lot of people coming this way where they would have to be waiting to take a left in front of someone. This is kind of a big circle drop off in the morning because there's not a lot of people are gonna be coming this way.
So I just would have liked to know what Design Tree's response was to those
Okay.
questions, because they're the experts.
yeah.
I mean, they must know traffic
I mean,
flow.
after school is where the biggest, I mean, that's where that will be a potential issue, is kids trying to get out of that little square, especially if they have to go one way or the
Well,
other.
parents are picking people up.
I mean, I don't know how many
trying to
kids
out
get
and-
picked up after school there. I have no idea because I haven't done that for a long time, but it would be more after school, because I probably would agree that it's potentially that the flow will be somewhat once they figure it out, but more than anything, if we go with this, there's going to have to be some potential training. I mean, we have student welcome day with the handbook, and, not that they're all gonna follow it or all gonna do it, but, we probably can coach them up on how it's gonna work best when they're trying to leave, and what we'd like to see parents do at parent night. And it just means someone has to really own it and teach people, because we go to these meetings and a lot of times people feel like they don't get a lot of really good information. This sucker's good information because no one wants to get stuck in the parking lot. So, I just, again, education's gonna be the key, and making adjustments as we go through it.
It appears that it's one-way flow for the most part, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
trying to stop the cross traffic that pedestrians have to
Yeah, I feel
risk.
It's gonna be very much better in the front part by the
Yeah, I mean,
school. It's
I
that
feel
back
like that-
section that I feel like could be a nightmare, and maybe
That-
it won't be, but.
just the flow of traffic going one direction is just safety, brings safety totally to a different level,
Yeah.
and will solve
And-
a lot of the issues.
Sonny, if I may, to your point about the piece kind of in the center on the north or the top side of the retention pond.
Which map are you looking at? With the added
This
section?
kind of piece down, generally the point remains the same. The hard surface remains the same regardless. If we end up with marking issues on the pavement, we can change them.
Right.
That obviously we'd have to black out like we did right out here when this used to be just bus parking and stuff like that. You
Well, and
black out.
there's still time to really work through that and what the
Absolutely,
directional flow should be. wasn't sure if where my feedback
Yeah.
had gone. I
Yeah.
know you had said that you got it, but I
Yeah.
just wasn't sure.
Okay, for those of us that are not in facilities and are only seeing this for the first time, does this mean that there's no buses at all will ever be picking up or dropping off in this area?
Right now, it's primarily athletic buses and otherwise, so there is a bus pullout added up on the north side.
Mm-hmm.
So that comes into the current grassy area. So there'll be, is that just around 200 feet?
I think they said
believe.
3 buses.
3 buses will fit there, yeah.
Through fit there.
So should be about 200 feet. So yeah, all the buses now, there aren't buses that regularly stop there. Some specific buses that stop for specific needs, but.
What about buses coming for tournaments and things like that? Because, I've kind of watched the parking lot
Yeah.
on some of the Saturdays lately, and
Yeah.
there's been lots of buses out there.
Yeah, so we discussed this at our meeting the other day, and it's not marked into this plan either, but it will ultimately be marked in. So where they come off of the north entrance on County Road 50, and they come around the corner, those spots on the west side, sorry for anybody that's directionally challenged, those will be marked additionally for buses.
Okay.
So they'll be long enough for buses, that
Yeah.
whole section.
Yeah.
So has anybody been to Tech where they have a gate over on that one side so you can't get from, because it happened to me, you come off of the road where Banus is, which is 84, I think, maybe? Does anybody know? Wow. They've got a gate similar to this between the smaller parking lot where most of their staff would park. Not that it's always shut, but they have the opportunity to shut it. I mean, again, it doesn't mean it's going to happen, but to answer your question, Sonny, to train people that if you come off of Red River, it's very unlikely, I guess you would think that they could go back onto Red River and go where they need to go. People probably now have trained themselves to come through, drop them off, come out,
Keep
circle
moving
out the other way.
Yeah.
It's not completely out of line to say that at certain times you would be able to stop it, maybe even after school if it gets too congested. It might be worth talking to Tech to find out, because if you come in, I don't know what the roads are, but if you come in through the neighborhood or come where their new houses are there and you come in one side, you can't get over to where the other parking lot is. And they've got a gate there, and it's similar, to me it looks similar to this, but it was dark when I was there, but there's...
And remind me, the whole idea would be that the drop-off and pickup would be where this smaller section is.
Significantly longer, yeah. So yeah, the advisement to the parents. So we have the same thing at Cold Spring Elementary and at Rockville, where they do a little mock-up video kind of showing people how to drop off safely for everybody's safety. So the ideal situation would be to drop off on County Road 2 for all parents, Red River Avenue, and do that and drop off in the whole length of that curb, which comes all the way down and just about to the south point of the parking lot, and then loop back up and go out.
And is it out of line to think that, and again, I don't know what the spaces comes out to be, but why couldn't the staff just use that parking lot?
That smaller section?
Yeah, and again, and the only reason, because kids are dumb, and especially if high school kids, and so in the morning they're like, my buddy's over there, or they,
But a lot of our staff also
Park
park
back
back here.
right.
And then,
So maybe it's not a...
Maybe that's visitors, staff.
yeah, I was going to say, add to that, we are going to put, I don't remember the exact number of visitor, 20, yep, you're right. Yeah.
And then if you had the option for a gate at certain times of the day, you could gate off the big side from the small side if there's
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah,
traffic
and
coming
that's
in and
the only place that there will be curb at this point would be on the southern perimeter of the small lot. The other things are just pavement markings, so, well, I
Do
think
we
that-
know how many spaces we're adding? Just curious.
Yeah,
It's on the
I
bottom.
can't read it.
I can't read it either, sorry.
And then the space, okay, so there's 446 stalls existing. We'd be moving to 546, so 100. And
With the
then,
alternate.
are they saying the same size? The spaces, like we're not gonna shrink it down so that it's like cars piled on top of each other.
It's,
That's
yeah,
the new
well,
greatest, greatest trick
Right,
in every parking lot I go to.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And we looked at a lot of different configurations, putting the rows east to west, north to south,
Yeah.
and diagonal and stuff like that to try to lower the risk to the student driver.
Yeah.
And this was just the way that accommodated the most cars and handled any potential growth we could have on site, or we felt best about, I guess.
I just,
Sure.
yeah,
I just think there's a lot of big cars out in the parking lot. Like,
Yeah.
there's just, it's a community
Yeah.
that just drive, there's a lot of trucks and
Yeah.
SUVs and stuff, so.
more I think about it, I think call the guy at Tech. I mean, they just built a new high school. They got a new parking lot. They've made mistakes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sure.
find out what they think is good about what they did. I mean,
Okay.
and
Yeah,
maybe their design is not the
Yeah.
same, but
Yeah.
I know that they should have something to maybe share.
These guys did the Sartell school as well, so they've done a lot of school parking lots, so they're,
Yeah.
You can ask them too,
They're
because
not like
Sartell's
that.
been going at it now
yeah,
6 months, right?
yeah.
So then, am I reading this right, that if we didn't do the additional piece, we'd actually lose parking spots?
Correct.
Okay.
Just to aid
There's
in.
quite a bit more sidewalk.
Per lineal
No.
foot, it's probably equivalent, because we have the whole sidewalk in the front, and then the medians and curbs where the
Sure.
rocks are, and all that kind of stuff, and trees, and so. A stormwater pond also gains us some water quality. So the Sauk River watershed is engaged in potentially partnering in part of that cost. So
Oh,
Okay, how come we can put a pond in now again, and when we put the one back here, then we had to empty that out?
I apologize, I'm not sure.
Because we had one back
Yeah,
there.
I don't think from what I've heard, it never held water.
No, it did.
It did.
And then they changed something so it wouldn't, because there was some issue that, I don't remember exactly what it was, but all of
Yeah.
a sudden it's like, nope, you can't retain water in this, and they had to change it so it didn't hold it.
It's ended up a wonderful nature preserve for the teachers and students that use it, on the bright side. They do a lot of stuff in there.
Do you expect a lot of time as far as like maintenance for shoveling and stuff with the new sidewalk coming out in the peninsula there, or
Equivalent, I would say.
about the same?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there'll still be light poles and stuff like that we have to go around, but
Any other questions for?
Also, have people that plowed the snow out of there looked at this to see if they see any issues with trying to?
yeah, our current contractor sat in with us on one or two of the design meetings just to talk about it with
Okay.
removal, so. Yeah.
So this would come back for action next meeting?
Action for next meeting.
Yep. So if there's further stuff people have, we can,
Yeah, in the meantime,
so,
looks
we have
good.
a facilities meeting this week too, if there's anything else, so.
thank you.
Thanks, Brad.
Thank you. Okay. Item D, dental insurance. Beth?
Yep, so during our negotiations this last year, we had a couple groups that asked about group dental insurance. So none of our contracts have any contribution, so we had our insurance agent bid for voluntary, it's called. So it's fully insured, but it's a voluntary program, so employees pay their whole cost. So it came back and we had our insurance committee review as well, and they are recommending that we go with Beam Dental. It would be an April 1st start date for this year, and then it would renew on January 1st with our health insurance, so that would be on that same calendar year for all of our insurance.
Yeah, I attended the meeting, and I think our insurance agent said that these are really great rates for this kind of a group with a voluntary premium. And so, yeah, this plan would allow, the majority of benefit for for the least amount of cost, so for the.
Is there a
staff.
minimum enrollment that's required?
He didn't say anything about a minimum enrollment, no.
We might want to just
That's a good
confirm that
question.
because most voluntary insurance will have a minimum requirement.
Any further discussion, or did people, you want to get that answered before we move it to action?
This was just information. Do we want to do action tonight, Beth?
I mean, if we don't have any questions or any issues, I would rather it just be done, like the calendar item, versus reviewing again.
So I mean, I guess to me, it's important to know if there is a minimum because how you communicate will make a difference because you want to make sure people know that if we don't hit the minimum, we're not going to offer it.
And is this per paycheck or per month?
These are monthly premiums.
Monthly.
And I'm assuming they checked with other schools or businesses that had this to find out if
Our agent has other clients on Beam.
and they've been satisfied with it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So we'll get those questions answered and bring it back for discussion next time in action.
For action.
Yep. Okay. So action items, parking lease agreement between the Rocori School District and Cold Spring Brewing Company.
So as you know, we have been discussing with the Cold Spring Brewery about using a space across the street on the back side of the brewery for parking during a construction project. We have worked back and forth between our two legals, and you see that you see the legal in front of us for that lease. So it is under action. We have had this discussion before, so I would entertain any questions that you might have. Brent can jump in if he has any, if he needs to, or otherwise we'll be just looking for a motion to approve.
So, sorry, I don't know where I read. Oh, there it is. So, February 1st through July 31st. Then I thought I read somewhere that it would be vacated prior to Hometown Pride Days.
Correct.
So July 31st is after that.
Brent?
So do we want the contract to say July 31st if we expect them to be out before?
If I could. I told both sides I'd present both sides. So there's a car show. I believe you brought that up at the last board meeting. It's a long-term, long-running car show. There's a lot of passion from the gentleman that leads it over this space. We've let him use the space in the past. This year is a MSRA voting event. It's a pretty big deal to him in that car show. That this is not in that space. I have talked to the brewery extensively, top leadership at the brewery, and he said they will be out of there before that car show. Will not be restored, likely back to pristine grass. He said they can leave the road in that they're going to access the property with if the car show wants, but said they absolutely will be out of there. And Kramer's going to be doing the dirt work, and of course we have a great relationship with Kramer too. So
I guess I would just say if the brewery is committing to that, then
Yeah.
what makes me nervous is having July 31st as the
End date.
expiration date, because
Yeah.
anybody can say anything right now, and if we communicate to the Hometown Pride
Yeah.
that they will be out and they'll be able to use the space, and
Right.
tells them it's July 25th, and Brew says, sorry, we're not ready,
Yeah.
or whatever,
Yeah.
July 20th, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Did you ask them if they would change it? I mean, was there any reason why they wouldn't change it?
Not at all.
So, I mean, I would think if that's what he said to you, then he'd be okay with just putting it in there just
Yeah, put it in
to
writing.
make everybody
Yeah.
comfortable.
Yeah.
So hometown pride days is the 24th and 26th, so we, the 24th and 26th, we want to have them.
Right after that sentence, it says tenant may extend the term of the lease.
So just kick that out of there.
First, you'd have to take that out as well.
Friday, or so we want them off by Wednesday.
It's that
It's a
Saturday.
Saturday.
Isn't it the 27th?
It's the 20,
Whatever.
That's the 20,
last Saturday of
it's the same day as Fairfest.
Yeah.
And then you would just strike out the rest of that after that, where it talks about they have the ability to.
Yeah.
July 25th.
5th.
So that means it starts, what, the 24th, Friday? Does the car show start on Friday?
No, the car show
It's just one day.
starts at
Saturday.
7 o'clock.
Yeah.
Or, well, they start bringing cars in at 7 o'clock on Saturday morning.
Okay. For some reason I thought it was both days.
No. You said one day.
Like, is there, do they do any setup on Friday, typically at the car show prior to?
Basically, the only thing that happens on Friday is they usually bring in the porta potties and any kind of, you know,
So Thursday, the day before. So the action tonight then is to table it, to get the lease to say the 24th, or the Thursday, whatever the date is.
I think we could make a motion to approve it with the
that
addended date.
Okay.
I feel comfortable with that.
I just want to say one more thing to Sunny. There was a concern about the traffic and stuff, and I talked to the brewery and Bridget at City Hall, and they both guaranteed that traffic will be better with the school allowing this use because they're so close to the road. They're where the building is and stuff like that. They're just not going to have anywhere to store anything. So this will be an improvement to traffic flow back there, which is something needed in that area. So.
Okay.
So we're looking for Thursday, is that the date? That
We'd
you
want
think?
them out by Thursday,
so
they can set up the porta potties on Friday.
And you feel your relationship as far as like cleaning it up and working it back to grass, that they'll, I mean, I'm not anticipating that'll be done until the next,
Yeah.
fully recovered till the next spring, but.
Yeah. I feel good about it. I know the people in charge there personally, so I do feel good about it. So.
is there
And
another?
yeah, it does look like it's their obligation to get it back to
Yeah.
working order,
Yeah.
so. Financially, their obligation too.
Maybe take a picture of what it
So does
looks
someone want
like
to make a
before.
motion for approval of the lease?
So that it covers. I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Sunny, second by Lynn for the parking lease to be approved with the expiration date of July 23rd. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Thanks.
I'll stay
You
for
might
the
as well
next.
stay here, Brent.
Oh, next item,
Next.
the award for Richmond Elementary School IQ bid.
So as you know, we have been working on a long-term facilities maintenance project for the indoor air quality at Richmond Elementary. Brent has worked very closely with ARI out of Hibbing, right? Hibbing, to draw up plans to help to improve our heating and heating and dehumidification system at Richmond Elementary. And we originally went out for bids. When we got the bids back, we were not happy with the bids, and so again, Brent and Scott Zasala, who wouldn't be here tonight except for he's someplace warmer, reworked the bid, sent the bid back out, and we got, as you see in the packet, a number of bids for individuals and also then full bids as well that were, again, $200,000 or more less than what our original bids. So our extra due diligence paid off, and after working with Scott, and his recommendation is to go with BCI to complete that project.
Where are they located?
Sauk Rapids.
Boulder.
Oh, it's Boulder, sure. Yep.
It's Boulder, yeah.
Yeah, very familiar name in the area.
Yep. What was the 200,000? Like, what did that consist of?
We changed a couple things internally with layout a little bit, and a lot of it was, part of it I'm sure was simply rebidding. So, first round was unfavorable and had to take the time and perhaps sharpen pencils and...
Margin probably? Labor, you think?
Yeah, I do. And then a couple little changes inside for the layout for how we're going to do things, but all still very much meets the needs of the indoor air quality. So it's going to be a big project.
Yeah, for sure. So just as far as timing, obviously this summer is when this would happen.
Yep.
Is there any incentive or punishment for them to get it done on time?
I'm sure there's some sort of teeth in the contract, not that I'm aware of though. Nothing that I'm overly familiar with.
Okay.
With the lead times, with the delay of an additional 2 to 3 weeks on big HVAC units, it's going to be complicated.
Just to get them in, like,
Just to get the machines.
just to get the machines here, there's a back order or delay,
Yeah.
even if we were to order them.
Manufacturing, yeah.
Okay.
So we'll probably have to build in the buildings and work backwards per se to the machine, to the air handlers, and then perhaps even in the fall put the air handlers in exterior to where the kids are, but like
Sure.
rooftop units and stuff like that. So
Hopefully not too many parts are coming from China.
yeah,
I just
but
had-
trade.
We're updating our computer system and some of the components are being delayed because of
Yeah.
Their workers can't get to the manufacturing plots.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we talked about some stuff being 14 to 20 weeks, depending on what it is. So the timing of everything is going to be really critical. That if we award tonight, that the accepted bidder is notified right away, so they can start making plans.
So to Jennifer's question, ARI, they're controlling the spec of the contract, or at least the language as far as change orders and what they're allowed to do or bill.
Yep.
Or is that something we were part of?
No, so inside of this, ARI will do that, and then BCI will be general contractor over the entire project.
Yeah, I saw that.
So,
Is this
so-
fixed bid or what type of materials?
fixed.
Fixed. Okay.
That will be the number.
So if BCI is in charge, what is the language on the whole change order contingency?
For me, I think it's just standard. It's if they have a change, then they figure out who absorbs it, or it's a change order that comes back to me, Brad, and you guys to accept or reject or propose alternatives. So that's what we've done on all the roofing projects and stuff since I've been here. If there's a change or something, if it's something that's being absorbed inside the contract, I just get a copy of it and I either agree or disagree, and then we haven't had any that had a financial impact on us since I've been here. So
Is there a motion to approve the bid award to BCI?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Lynn,
Second.
second by Jennifer. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, motion approved for BCI.
thank you.
Thank you, Brent.
Thanks, Brad.
Thanks, Brad.
Thanks. Okay. Let's see, administrative and board reports. So, Brad, superintendent.
We just have the enrollment. You see the enrollment. We did lose a few students over the month of January, February. End of January typically is the end of a second trimester, and so you do see some movement depending on how that's going, especially kind of at the high school, whether they're ALC or different opportunities in other districts. Not concerned, we are above our projected enrollment, and right in there from where we started at the beginning of the school year, so I'm not concerned by it. Of course, I would like to keep every student in Rocori as possible. We know that there are just times where kids move on. That's
Okay.
about all I have to report on tonight.
Okay. And other board members, committee reports. Let's see.
Can I just make a request?
Sure.
Can we go back to that one page
Where it has
little thing
the-
that
yeah.
tells you, it bolds what you report on and.
Oh.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that.
Yeah.
So under B, you want to go back to
To the
For the
name
board
and
committee
then
and
all of
report,
the-
there's that one-page snapshot where it
Yeah.
says our name and then the committees we're on, and then bolded are the committees that we're responsible for reporting on.
Yeah.
I think we could accommodate that minor detail.
Thank you.
Should we just go around?
I should ask Holly first. Holly, is that something we can, okay.
Shannon?
Yeah, we, I don't, none of my committees have met. Facilities obviously is on third Wednesday, we already talked about that.
I had a couple committees that I report on that have met. Meet and Confer met on the 29th. I believe I reported on that one, pretty sure.
I did not.
Yeah, okay.
I did not have that on my calendar.
Topics pretty much circled the same subject matter, which was special education, a number of concerns, we'll call it, just regarding staffing levels and wanting to hire another, at least one individual, maybe another, for the purposes of administering assessments. So that was discussed. A shortage of paras and subs. So if a para is absent and we're not able to get a sub for them, then there is some additional responsibilities that the teachers have to take on. And so we discussed some reasons for that and potential solutions. It's probably a case-by-case basis in terms of how we handle that. And then talking about behavior interventionalist, excuse me. And then, the conversation about caseload, number of students doesn't equate type of workload. I think it was made clear that we do try to hire for our expected workload and not necessarily student count. So, those are some topics.
Just want to comment that this time, I think it went really smooth compared to some of the other meeting confers because we actually had the special ed teachers there compared to sometimes when they're not there and the regular education teachers have been trying to talk about the issues. Having the special ed teachers there made it more relevant, and of course Brad and the administrators had looked at all of the issues ahead of time, so I thought it was a good session this time compared to some of the others where we haven't gotten as much done.
Yeah, I think I don't have anywhere near the exposure to this as you do, Lynn, but it did seem like there was at least a proposed solution versus stated problem. And so having some proposed solutions and walking away with some actionable items and next steps makes the meeting productive. So I felt this.
This has been kind of an ongoing thing in negotiations for the last several negotiation sessions. So I felt that we made some progress this time in resolving some of these issues that have been sitting there for a while.
Yep. And then the other committee that I'm reporting on is the technology committee. We met on the 7th, which was just last Friday. Went through the curriculum, as curriculum is starting to involve a lot, or has been for a while, involving a lot of technology, so that there seems to be a collaboration happening there of the curriculum committee needing the technology committee to approve certain items. So it appears the volume, both in dollars and quantity, Seems to be less than previous years. List is not finalized, but Brian just shared some of the items that were on that list. Talking about a learning management system, Schoolology. Right now we're using Teams. It does have some limitations as it relates to education. Certainly Microsoft is certainly constantly developing that program, but there's another one that comes highly recommended that other districts are using called Schoolology, and that was discussed. I believe there's going to be a demo from the Schoolology folks. It might be tomorrow. I don't exactly remember the date, but very soon. One-to-one initiative, continue to move that forward. There's going to be some test devices for students, and that'll all be pre-approved by teachers, just to test out a couple different style of device that we're looking to move forward with. Looking for the kids' feedback on that. And then as we move to the one-to-one initiative, professional development and generation of ideas on sort of what are the probably most critical topics and what would be the timing of those topics. And lastly was Wi-Fi. There was a assessment of our current Wi-Fi solution, and then a heat mapping was done to determine how many access points we actually need and where should they be located, because the technology for access points has advanced so much that it's that you actually need fewer access points to cover a larger area because of their capabilities. So kind of a reevaluation of what do we have, what do we actually need. So that's what I have.
Right.
None of my committees met.
I was at the insurance committee meeting, so we talked about the dental presentation. That was it. Ben Stearns hasn't met since I left. We did also have a closed session for Brad's formative evaluation, and at this point the consensus from the board was that he's meeting expectations. So thank you, Brad, for all you're doing for our district. And I think that's it from me.
My committee said not met.
Okay. All right. And I think that's it. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Shannon, second by Lynn. Further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned.